Now, I need hardly add that Miroslav Havel himself didn't give his sweets these Irish heritage names like Lismore and Carramore, or the ladies' names like Sheila and Colleen. That was the genius of marketing director Con Dooley, who targeted this product at the 40 million Americans of Irish descent and evoked a Celtic homeland of ancient turreted castles and mystical rivers and pretty villages and darling maidens high-stepping on the village green. He thought he was De Valera, I think. He took a leap of imagination, but Dooley picked the name Lismore. My God, you know Lismore, that's the castle. The county town on the Blackwater River, and saw in the diamond cuts, he was a romantic, of the Lismore pattern, the leaded windows of that famous castle, and in Miroslav's perpendicular wedge cuts, he discerned the turrets of that famous castle. And all praise to Con Dooley, one of my father's favourites. He persisted in the American market when people there told him he was wasting his time, that Americans, especially Californians, didn't use glasses or drink wine. They sat on their beaches and drank coffee from paper cups. Lismore, by 1965, was the top crystal pattern in the United States, and 4 other Havel stem glass designs were on the top 10 list. My father, of course, was not a gifted marketer. He always referred to the Lismore pattern technically as 600-318. 600 for the shape and 318 for the cut. That pattern, though, had many of the things that he wanted to achieve as an artist and as an industrial designer. And throughout this lecture, there is a tension between his role as an artist and his role as an industrial designer for the mass marketplace. And that is something I'm trying to bring out in the course of this discussion. Why was Lismore so successful from his point of view? Because it scales back the heaviness and the intricacy of 18th century design. It shows the glitter and the sparkle of the world's heaviest lead crystal, 33% lead crystal, and it reveals a combination of delicate decoration with the form of the glass. The lower part of the glass drinking bowl, if I can just point it out, this is the only technical part of the lecture, the lower part of that glass drinking bowl, as you see, has large diamond-shaped, well-spaced wedge cuts, much larger than the tiny 18th century cuts. And they're paired with a series of up and down perpendicular cuts above the diamond cuts. Nothing disturbs the lovely cone-like shape of the glass. It all flows in a harmony. Shape was so important to my father and to his sense of design. He designed the shape first and then added the cuts, not the other way around. And notice, this is the thing that's most important to notice, the ample blank space at the top of the glass, the negative space, to allow the beauty of the clear, highly polished crystal to be appreciated. And the geometric slices of the starburst design at the bottom of the glass, which you can't see here, but you can see when you look into the bowl of the glass, they were there to steady the glass against falling over, because mouth-blown crystal is much unsteadier than pressed glass, the artificial kind, and the starburst slices helped to steady the glass. That was the kind of detail that absolutely obsessed my father. Now, these cutting styles were known for centuries, but it was how Miroslav Havel assembled these signature cuts into combinations of rich but uncluttered patterns, and the glittering effect of these larger prismatic cuts on Waterford's highly polished heavy lead crystal that really caused Waterford glass to have an edge in the marketplace in those early years. And I might as well tell you that the Lismore pattern was so successful that it also became the world's most stolen pattern, ripped off in every country and by every manufacturer, and gave lawyers a lot of work in the 50 years that Waterford existed. Thanks to Waterford for that. Miroslav always credited the Waterford blowers, and this is important, with the skill to manipulate molten glass to produce crystal, and this you will not see anywhere except in Waterford, that was relatively thin on top, with a gradual thickening toward the base. Continental glass was always a uniform thickness, and that thicker base allowed the wedge cuts that were much deeper and more characteristic on the lower parts of the bowl, leaving a graceful, undecorated surface at the thinner upper area. And Lismore had other advantages that appealed to Miroslav as an industrial designer and to Batchik. Batchik was so cheap about production. This appealed to him because Waterford crystal could be produced, and you will remember this word if you remember Waterford crystal. It's a word as well known in Waterford as the word blah, the word peace, the peace rate. Everybody got the peace rate on Lismore because Lismore was easy to do for the individual cutters and for the blowers. Much more efficient than the later more intricate patterns. The basic suite included a decanter and 8 glasses. Not all of them shown here. So if you ask me in summary, what was Miroslav Havel's genius at Waterford Crystal, I would say that it was the invention of a design strategy, an ethos, that enabled a modern factory to adapt the flamboyantly ornate designs of the 18th and 19th centuries in Waterford glass, laden with a big dollop of Irish history, supplied by Mr. Dooley's inspiration, and adapting all of that to the 20th century marketplace. Ladies and gentlemen, the revival in the general use of heavy crystal across the world in the mid-20th century, redefining modernism as not just a functional concept, but a concept that had some decoration and had some form, the form of this glass, began with Waterford glass in this city of Waterford, Ireland. I couldn't imagine a greater Irish success story, not even Ryanair. And it took Ireland out of the era of shamrocks and tea towels and table linens into a sophisticated appreciation of brand and product positioning. And in a real sense, it moved the country toward the